On the morning of July 24th, 2025, the news shook the internet like a thunderclap. At the age of 71, Hulk Hogan, the legendary wrestler who influenced not only a time period but also a whole generation's perception of what it meant to be a hero, had died. At first, it didn't feel real. Well, he was seen by many as one of those individuals that would always be there, immortal and unbreakable. However, the reality hit hard. Gene Bollea, the man with the bandana, mustache, and loud voice who used to fill stadiums with tens of thousands of people, passed away at his Clearwater, Florida, home from cardiac arrest. Early in the morning, there were allegations that Hogan had passed out, so paramedics were dispatched to the area. He was declared dead shortly after arriving at Morton Plant Hospital, despite efforts to revive him on the journey. Globally, fans came to a complete halt. The name Hulk Hogan had meaning, regardless matter whether you were a lifelong fan of professional wrestling or you were just seeing him tear his shirt apart on TV in the 1980s. It wasn't just a ploy. It was an aspect of American pop culture that was woven into the entertainment landscape of the late 20th century. Then the responses started to come in, some of which were anticipated, some of which were unexpected, but all of which were incredibly sincere and came from politicians, actors, musicians, and wrestlers. And even detractors began to pour onto television and social media, all of which reflected the influence Hogan had on so many people's lives in addition to the wrestling industry. One of Hogan's closest friends and fiercest in-ring competitors, Ric Flair, made a lasting impression with a very personal post. In his letter, he expressed his shock at learning of the death of his good friend, Hulk Hogan. "When I was down, he was there for me. When I was in the hospital, he was among the first people to come see me. Yes, Harrison once more." A few minutes ago, TMZ Sports announced that Hulk Hogan, a legendary figure in wrestling who truly went beyond the sport, had passed away at the age of 71. "Hulk gave me a loan, and I had a 2% chance of surviving. I laughed at him. He was sincere and loyal. My friend, may you rest in peace." Flair's comments had a particularly poignant quality. They were from somewhere outside of the show, outside of kayfabe. They were based on the actual experiences of two men who had shared locker rooms, arenas, and private moments away from the limelight. In addition to her father's memories of Hogan supporting their family during one of the most trying times in their lives, Charlotte Flair shared her own. "Hulk Hogan was there when I nearly lost my father. He didn't have to be, but he was," she wrote. "I will always remember that. I'm really sorry for Nick and Brooke. Brother, may you rest in peace." The Undertaker doesn't often post about private issues. His statement, which reverberated with solemn reverence, shattered his stillness. "He has made incalculable contributions to our company. I'm grateful, Hulk Hogan." That was all he needed to say, and that was all he said. Even though he didn't say much in public, the mood was powerful. Later that day, Triple H, now known as Paul Levesque, the chief content officer of WWE, released a press statement acknowledging Hogan's contribution to the globalization of professional wrestling. He wrote that, without Hulk Hogan, WWE would not be what it is today. One of the rare performers who came to represent the profession as a whole was Terry. Audiences on several countries were enthralled by his presence, charm, and sheer attraction. Millions stayed because of what Hulk Hogan helped create, and millions watched wrestling because of him. However, the loss wasn't limited to everyone inside the squared circle. Actors, musicians, politicians, and admirers from all backgrounds put WWF and later WWD and WWE on the map. According to reports, Hulk Hogan was in cardiac arrest when doctors were called to his Clearwater residence early on Thursday morning. Numerous police vehicles and emergency medical technicians were parked outside, according to TMZ. Join the symphony of thankfulness and sorrow. In a lengthy article on Truth Social, former President Donald Trump referred to Hogan as a MAGA patriot and a true American legend who infused his actions with courage, honesty, and vitality. Trump also praised Hogan as a voice of strength, optimism, and American spirit, recalling his attendance at the Republican National Convention years earlier. Known for co-starring alongside Hogan in Rocky IV, Sylvester Stallone referred to him as a real-life superhero. "I was fortunate to collaborate with him," he wrote in his message, which was shared with a still photo of the two of them. "Rocky III became famous because of him. Today, my heart aches." One picture served as John Cena's tribute. It was a photograph of Hogan in his heyday, holding the WWF title above his head with that trademark half-serious, half-spectacular expression. Cena left the caption blank. He didn't have to. The picture was self-explanatory. The apprentice bowing to the master, the younger generation paying respect to the elders. A picture from the set of Sudden Susan, in which Hogan guest starred years ago, was shared by Brooke Shields. In the mid-arm wrestling shot, the two are giggling. "Hulk, rest easy," she wrote. This particular instance was noteworthy in a number of ways. The UFC CEO Dana White even issued a brief comment. "Respect just, no show, no flourish, rip Hulk." "Our hearts are with the Hogan family, the millions of fans, and all the friends across the world who are mourning today," said Lee Greenwood, widely renowned for his patriotic hymn, "God bless the USA," in a statement. Hulk Hogan represented more than just amusement. He was a combination of generosity, grit, and strength. Gratitude emerged as a common topic among the numerous celebrities who offered their sympathies. Gratitude for a man who brought them joy, brought back memories of easier times, and was a dependable presence on television when things felt hectic. Hogan was more than simply a wrestler to millions of people. He was a Saturday morning person. Action figurines were what he was. He was the assurance that if the good guy put in enough effort and had faith in himself, he could succeed. WWE issued a formal statement in response to the flood of tributes. "We regret to inform you of the passing of Hulk Hogan, a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. Among the most recognizable personalities in the history of sports entertainment, Hogan's legacy contributed to the global growth of WWE. We offer our sympathies to his followers, friends, and family." The brief but earnest note acknowledged the guy and the myth. Fans met both in person and online to exchange memories all over the world. Some recreated his famous postures while others shared old VHS covers. Many of them sobbed. Within minutes, the #sign, "Thank you, Hogan," became popular. The advice that he once gave his supporters to train, pray, and take vitamins has now come back to him tenfold. In appreciation, in respect, and in grief. The tributes were personal as well as sentimental. Hogan has changed people's lives by being there, not by being flawless. It was impossible to ignore him, his energy, his voice, that booming laugh. Whether you were a wrestling fan or not, Hogan's family sent out a brief statement through his daughter Brooke on the night of his death. Again, it's difficult to describe his significance to sports, his fame, his trademark blonde hair, or the way he tore his shirt before a game. Definitely one of the sports greats, in the world of wrestling, and we'll wait for additional confirmation. However, TMZ is already saying that Hulk Hogan has died and is requesting quiet and time to grieve. The note that reads, "He was more than a father," breaks our hearts. He was a friend, a guardian, and a source of light in each of our lives. Nick, his son, has been largely quiet, although close family friends have observed that he is absolutely broke. According to Sky Daily, Hogan was at home when he collapsed, accompanied by his wife since 2023. The couple had just finished supper and were watching TV together when Hogan abruptly grabbed his chest and fell back, according to a family source. 7 minutes later, the ambulance showed up, but it was too late. His heart had failed him. Clearwater became somewhat of a pilgrimage spot in the days that followed. Fans started putting cards, flowers, and other mementos at his house's gates. He never refused a request for a photo, according to locals, frequently bringing a grin and a story to local gatherings. According to a nearby diner owner, Hogan would consistently order the same item when he ate there on Tuesday mornings: black coffee, rye toast, bacon, and scrambled eggs. Chewin'. He would shake hands with everyone present. "He didn't behave like a star," she added. "Your uncle was the way he behaved." With a special segment during that Friday's SmackDown and a full-length celebration of his life airing on Peacock the following week, WWE revealed plans for a week-long homage. "We want to discuss more than simply his professional background," claimed that information leaked to wrestling press sites by Paul Levesque during an internal meeting. The man behind the spotlight is what we aim to show. Behind the scenes, he was a man who experienced both tragedies and victories. A man who helped sell out arenas worldwide and attracted enough attention to make professional wrestling a mainstay of popular culture. He was at the heart of the 1980s wrestling boom. In the 1990s, a man changed his identity in WCW, taking on the role of Hollywood Hogan, the antagonist. A decision that once again changed the company's direction. However, he was also a flawed human being. His career nearly ended in 2015 due to the leaked audio that contained racial remarks. He was publicly humiliated, suspended from WWE, and taken out of the website's Hall of Fame section. Later, Hogan said, "That's not who I am," and apologized. It was a bad day in 2018. A legend in wrestling as well as a source of entertainment and politics even recently. Now, let's welcome entertainment correspondent Lauren Conlin. We're viewing a Trump rally from the last election season, and he was also there at the convention. He was so liked after all. You're with me now, Lauren. The WWE Hall of Fame accepted him back. While some never forgave him, others did. That gap still existed. Even others who were unable to forgive him yet recognized the work he produced. Wrestling's current form, spectacle, reach, and majesty, he is responsible for everything. In an emotional voice clip posted to his podcast, longtime WCW executive and Hogan's close friend Eric Bischoff fought back tears to declare that no one was like him. There was no one who could attract a throng like him. He was charismatic and magical. He was among my closest pals. The words "Rest in Power, Hulk Hogan" were shown on a digital billboard that illuminated the Las Vegas Strip. I'm grateful, brother. Hogan had a reputable early career with New Japan Pro Wrestling in Tokyo. Outside of Korakuen Hall, supporters gathered for a candlelight vigil. In shaky English, one fan stated, "He makes me love wrestling," while holding up an old replica belt. It's hard to gauge the scope of his legacy. Not only was he a wrestler, he was a cultural icon, a sensation, and a figure. He played for Walker, Texas Rangers, and the A-Team, among other teams. He provided voiceovers for cartoons, talk shows, and advertisements. In 1991, when he was at the height of his popularity, he even got his own animated series. Sports Illustrated had Hulk Hogan on its cover. It was an unusual moment. The cover of America's most prestigious sports magazine features a professional wrestler. He was well known outside of the wrestling community as well. He was well known everywhere. Children aspired to be like him. In the mirror, they flexed their arms, tore their t-shirts, put on the bandana, and attempted to mimic that gravelly, growling voice. The hustling, the spectacle, and the complete dedication to the performance were all applauded by adults. Hulk Hogan never took a half-hearted approach, and he continued to be noticeable. He continued to be discussed long after his big event days were finished. Interviews, reality TV, convention appearances, and cameos. The Hulk Hogan was a constant for better or worse. He was assimilated into the American entertainment landscape. His voice has been replaced with a sort of silence since his departure. Still, the ripple goes on. Throughout the week, news organizations from all around the world kept up their coverage. The top page of the New York Times had a comprehensive obituary. Channels from Brazil to India, including the BBC, CNN, and ESPN, presented tribute programs. Though fans of all ages responded to one broadcast on Australia's ABC with tears and incredulity. However, in the entertainment industry, this is a seismic event. Indeed, Harris, I have no idea what's going on this week. So many amazing people are leaving us. Every day I'm reminded that God is good, always thankful, was one of Hogan's final tweets in the previous several months. I grew up watching wrestling, you know. In an unusual departure from their custom, the WWE posted a tribute montage set to Johnny Cash's Hurt, which is arguably the most moving example. It featured pictures of him with his kids, out-of-character statements, and backstage giggles in addition to in-ring events. I didn't expect to cry this much, fans commented in the comments section. And thanks for everything, Hulk. There has been controversy about this time of grieving. Some detractors brought up his prior scandals again, emphasizing the peril of exalting someone with a troubled past. Others resisted, arguing that intricacy defines legacy rather than erasing it. Hulk Hogan was memorable, but he was hardly a saint, according to one headline, and he is still unforgettable. As the days stretched into a week, the tributes continued to come in, not just from well-known figures or those with blue check marks, but also from regular fans. The type who still had their original Hasbro action figure in a box in the attic, or who had stood in queue to get a signature at a convention, or who watched wrestling every Monday night with their parents. In a widely shared Facebook post, one admirer said, "I only saw my dad on the weekends because he used to work nights. However, we watched wrestling together on Saturday mornings. Ultimate Warrior was who I was. He was Hulk Hogan all the time. Other than that, we didn't chat much, but when Hogan dropped the leg, we screamed, laughed, and gave each other high fives. Those were the most important occasions, but I never told him. And I'm crying uncontrollably now." People were saying things like that. Never was Hogan just Hogan. He was spending time with his family. He was a child. Even when it was all predetermined, he was the delight of seeing good triumph over evil. The next Friday, WWE SmackDown homage was shown in front of an audience that was shouting his name nonstop. It wasn't depressing. As a huge screen above the ramp came to life with decades worth of film, they yelled, "Hogan! Hogan! Hogan!" The action is being called by Gorilla Monsoon. Mean Gene Osterland interviewing someone. Hogan is shredding his shirt, putting his palm to his ear, dropping his leg, and pointing to the crowd. The best hits. The words "Thank you, Hulk" flashed at the end of the box. "We will always remember you." The audience stood, cheered, and some people started crying. Grown males wearing shirts that say Hulkamania. Children are being held on the shoulders of grandparents. Old foam fingers are being waved by fans, the type that stated Hulkamaniac #1. People were mouthing his phrases out of memory, as you could see. Train, offer up your prayers. Consume your vitamins. Have faith in yourself. It's simple to make fun of outdated catchphrases. However, they were more than just catchphrases to people who grew up during the heyday of professional wrestling. They were declarations of truth. Furthermore, Hogan was more than simply a fictional figure to many individuals. When they felt weak, he was the one who gave them strength. Someone who gave them hope that they could surpass reality. This is the reason it aches. Because a lot of people still found meaning in Hulk Hogan despite all the controversies and the complex history. It's not about ignoring his mistakes. It's about recognizing his strengths. Simply put, he provided them with something to cling to. Few cultural icons, despite not always being at the forefront, have been able to endure for so many decades and remain relevant. Hogan accomplished that by sheer force of identity rather than by reinvention like Madonna or Bowie. For better or worse, he was himself. And that was sufficient to establish a myth that would remain. There will undoubtedly be discussions about his actual legacy, how to distinguish the artist from the work, and how to honor a man who brought us so much happiness despite making such blunders in public. The law hurts when you think about that child in the living room on a Saturday morning watching his father toss his hands in the air as the music began and Hogan walked out to the ring. Those conversations will happen. They should, but when the noise subsides, you can see why it hurts. After all, Gene Bollea and the red bandana and yellow trunks were never the only aspects of Hulk Hogan. He was a time, an emotion, a representation. Furthermore, symbols never truly perish. They simply become part of a culture's collective spirit, legend, and memory. When the sky is illuminated and Hulkamania is unrestrained indefinitely, what will you do, brother? Peace be with you, Hulk Hogan. Always, you were the star.